welcome back. Happy New Year. We are live.
Let's get it.
Happy New Year.
This is the Four Horsemen podcast, and we're back better than ever.
Bing bong.
Bing bong indeed, Carlos. Welcome again. This is the Four Horsemen podcast. Please, before we get started, give us a follow on Instagram, the number 4 Horsemen of Fantasy. Give us a sub on YouTube while you're at it. But let us get started. My name is Gilbin Hamu. Alongside me are my esteemed and beautiful, lovely co-host,
Beautiful
Jack
now.
Hopkins. Jack Hopkins.
He was talking about me. He wasn't talking about you.
Nick Romeo, and our reigning fantasy football champion, Carlos Ortiz. I hate it too, guys. I hate it
Not
too.
at the table, Carlos.
So, we're back as the 4. Been a minute. We're back
we
as
made
the
it.
4. And we're switching it up. Fantasy football is over. As if you've listened to the last episode, you know we're switching it up. Fantasy basketball time it is. So let's get started by coming right off the bat with some pretty interesting news. The New York Knicks have traded for Cam Reddish. In return to Atlanta, Atlanta gets a protected first-round pick from the Hornets that they retrieved over last year's draft. And then Kevin Knox gets sent to Atlanta as well. I think there was somewhere between Brooklyn with a trade that the Knicks get, I think a second round or something like that. But the most important part, Cam Reddish is now in New York, reunited with his Duke teammate in RJ Barrett. I think that's some pretty big news in the fantasy world, just given how well he was picking things up in Atlanta and given the role that he could have under Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks. It speaks for itself. He's going to fill in for where Fournier falls flat. I think he might shoot well. He might shoot fantastic.
Do you pick him up right now if he's on waivers?
I would.
Now you find a spot for him to drop someone or put whatever you got to do. Do you do it right now?
Right now, I would try it if you have the room. Like if you're not confident in a player on your roster right now, if you're thinking about dropping somebody, I think that's the first person you need to look at because a change of scenery might be really helpful. I don't know if he'll be playing right off the bat given how COVID restrictions are.
Yeah.
And he might have to sit out maybe a week just because of health and safety protocols. I don't know exactly what's the criteria for when a player gets traded. However, I think this is a great addition for the Knicks. I do see this having a good boost in his fantasy status. I would shoot it straight to Jack and Carlos as well. What do you guys think?
So right now he's the number 2 trending in terms of pickups in Yahoo leagues. Cam Reddish is only behind one person that I will not say his name because we're going to kind of get to him in a little bit later. I like the move. I like the move for the Knicks because they don't just get Reddish. They also get Solomon Hill, which I think is a good veteran presence for that Knicks team as well. And I think dumping off Kevin Knox is another plus. Now he might find some good a good role in Atlanta, but Cam Reddish is playing a career low 23 minutes a game this season in Atlanta. But he's posting his career best as a scorer. Excuse me, but also as a shooter. His field goal percentage is over 40%. He's hitting 37% from 3 and 90% at the line. So all of those right there are indicators that if he gets a little bit more playing time, which I think he could eventually, as Thibodeau works him into the rotation, he could see those numbers go up. And this is kind of a do or die year for him if he really wants to get a big contract that obviously the Hawks weren't willing to pay him. I like it for fantasy purposes. I also like it for real life purposes if you're a Knicks fan.
I would agree.
Yeah, for me, I think I prefer it real life for the Knicks organization than I do for fantasy. Evan Fournier is still there. RJ Barrett is lighting up at the moment. Kemba's back in the rotation. I can't foresee Cam Reddish having a huge fantasy impact unless you are in maybe a 16-man league, 14-man league. I am in a 14-man league, and I am not looking at him. So I can't recommend him as a pickup, but I do like the move. It's something that the Hawks have been trying to do for a little while now. I don't think it was a good fit for Reddish and the Hawks. And, it's kind of like a win-win. Kevin Knox, you never know. Like the Hawks might be able to get something out of him. he was a good player. He was a first-round pick, when he came into the league, and he's just not been able to get it done at all. So maybe this new lease of life might give him, the boost he needs to his career.
I kind of want to say he might have some fantasy value. I really think, because I actually had him in category leagues just because he's a good scorer. And in my leagues, I have, and Jack's in it as well, so he would know, I have my categories as 3-point percentage and regular field goal percentage as one of those categories. I think it's important to realize that how important having a decent shooter that can make efficient shots on your team, regardless if the volume is there or not. And if he's a starter, he'll be part of that famous Tom Thibodeau burn your starters to the ground type mentality, which means he'll probably be getting north of like 28 to 30 minutes a game. And if he starts, which is entirely in the realm of possibility, who knows? Fournier's health has also been a little bit shaky as well. He did miss the previous game against the Celtics over the weekend. He's due for some good numbers. I think he's due for a good amount of volume. You saw exactly what happened when the Knicks lose Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker to injury and COVID and out of the rotation. They moved Alec Burks to the 1, and regardless of how he lights up statistically, it's very inconsistent, he's guaranteed volume. And that's important to have, because Burks can give you one night his shooting woes can go from like 3 points and like 4 assists. Next thing you know, he's lighting up for like 25 and 7, and like he'll make like 5 threes or something. I think it's kind of the same rotation. As soon as the Knicks get their point guards back, it'll probably be a lot easier for that rotation of Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, and Cam Reddish. I think it's a great rotation, to be honest with you, to have at the 3. And for fantasy purposes, I think it'll be pretty well just to stretch the floor, especially if you kind of can get a good position to not have Randall with the ball all 20, maybe 20 of the 24 seconds, because it's killing me.
Yeah.
It's killing me as a Knicks fan to watch. Like, I love Randall.
Ball hog. I love Randall, but ball hog.
Oh my God, it's killing me, dude.
Yeah,
I can't watch
he does not make the extra pass.
No, I think he makes too many extra passes, and that's the problem. And then when he doesn't make the pass, he'll lose the ball because he'll be too busy trying to be Kyrie or something with the Rock real quick. But that's just our take on the Cam Reddish trade. There have been a little bit of other news going on around the league. Ball was supposed to get traded from the Nuggets to the Pistons. That eventually got waived and voided by Detroit, something regarding his physical. I thought he would have had fantasy value if had that trade gone through, but because how once a young talent lands on the Pistons, it kind of works out for them in that regard. Not really necessarily winning, but more so just being able to kind of flourish in your own way. I just don't know what's next for Ball. I would assume if he gets moved elsewhere, I think he's deserving of a shot. He kind of really didn't get a good one with Denver, given that they've kind of already had the big man slot pretty much figured out with Nikola Jokic and so on and so forth. There's not really many fantasy implications in mind, but I do also want to move quickly to the Western Conference, because there have been a couple of injuries that have those sort of implications in mind. We'll start in Portland. Damian Lillard just had abdominal surgery and will miss roughly 8 weeks as well. That's pretty big, especially because a lot of people will have spent a first-round pick on Lillard. And another one that I also want to mention is on the Clippers side, where Paul George is in potential danger to miss the entirety of the remainder of the regular season due to possibly getting surgery on an elbow injury, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to shed some light on this because these are players you spent high picks on. Paul George, namely, because he was the one getting all the volume with Kawhi Leonard gone. And now you have other people to look to on the Clippers side as to who's going to shoulder that load, really. So I guess we'll start in Portland. If Lillard's out for a while, who do you think takes that spot?
From recently, what I've been reading up right now, CJ McCollum is highly likely coming back sometime this weekend. He just came back from the lung injury, from the collapsed lung, and now he just celebrated with his wife the birth of his first child, which is really nice. But he's finally coming back, hopefully this Saturday against the Wizards. I think McCollum and even Fernie Simons could be great. As we could see this last week, he's been lighting it up, and he's only 31% rostered. I think that's the guy you got to grab.
100%. I 100% agree with this. Like Anna Fernie, what is it? Anna Fernie?
Anthony,
Anthony, that's it. Like it's like Anthony with an F.
It's not just me, Jack. Don't worry. It's not just me.
No, I know. Honestly, Gil just saying that has just lit up my world because I've owned this guy for like 3 weeks in one league, and I just have never been able to pronounce his name. And I'm like, Anthony, that makes so much sense now. Anyway, Anthony Simons, he is awesome. He had a double-double the other night with assists, which is not something he has really, been doing that often. He hasn't really been getting many assists. My only thing is he is out tonight with a personal issue. But we saw it the other night. He went like right up against Trae Young. Scored 43 points on the Hawks.
Yep.
Followed that up with a 28 piece, then 14, 31 points, and then the last game he played, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 11 assists. Like, this guy's putting up Damian Lillard numbers, and he's young, he's athletic, he's a really good player. I think.
Not to mention, he also won the dunk contest last year. Yes, if you're going to go by terms of athleticism.
I was thinking about that as well as I was saying that. I will say
Obi was robbed. All right, Obi Toppin was robbed.
Oh, I think so, but you're a homer.
No, so. You're a homer. Big time.
I will say Dennis Smith Jr. is a good stream tonight. I think with Simons out tonight for personal reasons, there's nothing I don't think to be worried about. But Dennis Smith Jr. Could be a good stream tonight. But 100% Simons, Anthony Simons, and if not tonight, if you need someone desperately tonight, Dennis Smith Jr.
I would agree. Moving to LA, I want to quickly just shed a light on this before we get into our main topic. With Paul George out for probably an extended period of time, I would look specifically once he comes back, Luke Kennard. Nick Batum is always a reliable. I will die on that hill that Nick Batum is a reliable player.
Really?
I think especially in category leagues, he does it all. I love do-it-all players. And
I had him last year, and he was just either on fire or he was not, or he wasn't there. I don't know.
Well, I would look at it like this, because he's not always the scorer that you think he is, but he's usually the one giving you good defensive stats and a steady number of assists and rebounds. So pretty much, if he doesn't score, he can pretty much give you everything else. But that's pretty much the most I'll kind of give on the Clippers. We're going to get into this big point because although this is our first podcast into fantasy basketball, there's still been a hefty amount of weeks into the season, and we kind of really just got a good way to gauge who's been really playing well and who hasn't. So I want to talk about players that have been heating up. A lot of players have been going stupid this season because unbelievable, really. And some people, like, they're legit outplaying their ADP, and I want to talk about it. And there's some people that have been playing up to their standards, and there's actually some that have been playing a little bit over. So I want to talk about players that have been heating up and players that have been cooling off. I'm going to start with Carlos here. Who do you think has been the heat-up player for you?
So a player I like that has been heating up lately is Robert Covington for Portland, because we just mentioned the injury to Damian Lillard. Although there are other players I do like on the Blazers. Like I agree with you guys. I think Anthony Simons is certainly somebody that you should be streaming almost right away to pick up the minutes. And also, don't forget about Nasir Little. Nasir Little's young. I think those two guys.
I just picked him up.
I
was telling you 3 minutes ago.
I think those two guys are the guys you want to own for Portland, because with Dame being out and also with Paul George being out too, I see both the Blazers and the Clippers being sellers at the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to stick around. They're not going to contend for the West. So a guy like Nurkic and Covington could be, both who guys are expiring contracts. Both of those guys can be on the moves, which is why I like Covington, because he is a reliable professional. I've been following him since his days in Philadelphia. You look at his last couple games. He had 21 against Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, they don't necessarily play the best defense, but it's still the Brooklyn Nets. He had a bit of a letdowner against the Kings, but he was solid against the Cavs and he was solid against the Heat. He has decent 3-point percentage shots. He takes good shots and he can knock them down for a forward. Covington is a guy to me that is just someone that you want to own if you're streaming, because his low games aren't that bad. He has a relatively safe floor, and he's able to bust out a big game every so often. So that's, for me, that's someone who is heating up that I definitely would want to take a look at for my fantasy team.
And he always gets a steal in the block as well. I feel
always
and those are nice.
He's good at filling in the stat sheet
in a cat league.
Portland's been pretty quiet statistically, like in terms of like people that you don't necessarily look at immediately, but I think they're obviously fantastic players to begin with. Let's move right to you, Jack, and since you're already on the topic as well.
Yeah, so and I'm glad we're talking about Portland and LA because I'm going to talk about a guy who I like at the moment that I think is heating up. And as we talked about, Paul George is going to be out, and Tyrone Lue is a big fan of Amir Coffey. Now, this is a guy who's young, but he hasn't done much this season. He went through a good stretch when everyone was in the protocols for the Clippers at the end of 2021. But the last two games, he's had 21 points and 18 points. But the last game impressed me the most because he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals. That's the kind of guy that you want. And Ty Lue said that this is a guy that he wants to include in the rotation, even if Paul George does not get the surgery and come back. I mean, I think we'll be realistic in saying that I can't foresee Paul George coming back this season. Maybe he does. I don't see it. And obviously, I know you like Nick Batum, Gil, but I think that these guys can even complement each other. They could start alongside each other as well. Right. Like Zubac is going to be the 5, but these guys could start at 3 and 4. And I just think that this is a guy that another big thing I look for as well when it comes to streamers is how many games they're playing. They're playing 4 games next week and 4 games the week after. That's huge in a 7-day week because you don't want to stream a guy who's only playing 2 games because you're not going to get as many stats out of him. So Amir Coffey, I look for that. The next 2 weeks when I'm picking up a player, it's like, right, he is playing 4 games next week and he's playing 4 games the week after that as well. And he has 2 games left this week. So I've picked him up. I'm streaming him tonight and I'll stream him, again on when he plays on Saturday too. But this is a guy I really like. I don't know about you guys.
That's good. That's a good one as well. Nick, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I'm sticking to LA, but on the other side, I am going with the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm looking at a guy, Malik Monk. Ever since he started in the starting rotation since December, he has been lighting it up. Like, I think, what does it says? It says here that he's had about 20 points in the last of his 8 appearances over here since starting for the Lakers. And to be honest with you, I think he's going to be consistent. Anthony Davis is hurt, and now that he's there with LeBron, he has a lot of opportunities to become a very viable player for you in your fantasy league. So if you have the option, pick up Malik Monk because he's in around 70% owned in ESPN leagues.
That's a great one, yeah. I kind of have a couple good streamers, but in terms of players that have been heating up, I want to shed some light on what kind of podcast would this be if Gil wasn't being a homer, right? Rowan Alexander Barrett Jr. Let's get some light on RJ Barrett real quick because this dude's been been lighting up pretty well. He's been playing absolutely phenomenal basketball right at the turn of Christmas, I think. Maybe once he came back from health and safety protocols, he started a bit slow, but right around New Year's when he kind of turned it around a bit. Surely had a really bad shooting night against the blowout loss against when they played Boston and he scored the buzzer. However, he just became the youngest Knick in history to score back-to-back 30-point games. And he's starting to shoot a little bit more efficiently. It's kind of like the same thing as last year where he started really slow shooting-wise, but he's going to start to pick things up again. I hope he finishes on a strong note just like he did last regular season. He's currently on 16.6 points per game, which is a little bit of a fall-off from where he was last year at the end of the regular season. But I think he's a fantastic young kid. I think he'll do plenty of great things. Obviously, they play the Hawks this upcoming game, and on top of that, I think he's going to be fantastic. And on to right as they get Cam Reddish too. But a great streamer for me on the other side of the ball would be Onyeka Okongwu, who's been filling in for Clint Capella over this recent stretch of games because as soon as he came back, he's been kind of getting that steady set of rebounds. His scoring output isn't that hefty because he's just the center and he's not really been the primary option. However, he's giving you exactly what you want from a center that playing for the Hawks as the backup. Gorgie Dang, I think, hasn't been getting a lot of minutes as well, or he's either been hurt with something. So Okongwu is a pretty good guy you want to pick up right now as well. I think he's that steady, like you said, like Clint Capella on a good night will give you at least 10 and 10. At least 10 and 10. On a great night, 2020, you get the idea. You know what you're getting from Clint Capella. The backups have been filling in that role in the center for Atlanta pretty well, if you ask me. You're getting a guy who could grab rebounds for players like Trae Young, Bogdanovich, and Danilo Gallinari to shoot the lights out of the building, Kevin Huerter included. So when you get a center that can constantly dominate the glass, John Collins to complement John Collins, I think this is exactly what you need. He's also not too big, which is perfect for when they play smaller teams that want to play a lot faster. I think that's when the Hawks played the Warriors earlier in the season, Capella got burned because the Warriors play so fast. So when you have a player like Okongwu kind of running with the pace, I think that's pretty beneficial for for Atlanta. Excuse me. But since we're talking about streamers, I also want to talk about players that are unreliable. I'll get us started real quick. I'm going to say one that seems pretty obvious. Josh Richardson of the Celtics, because I feel like year in and year out, no matter what team he's been playing for, he's been kind of on and off. Like, he'll give you a good 17 points, 2 rebounds kind of game like he did against the Knicks over the weekend. But he also has these terrible, terrible shooting performances where he's shooting like somewhere between like 30 to 40% from the field and not many other stats to go along with it, and he barely will crack 10 points. So in my opinion, Josh Richardson, he's deservedly rostered in less than 10%. I don't think he deserves kind of that streamer type of beneficial status that I think you can get from other players, like I say, a Matisse Thybulle, who can get rostered, but for reasons that go beyond scoring the ball. I just think Richardson is kind of in that sense where if he's not scoring, he's not going to give you anything else either. It's
I don't
pretty
like
straight
either.
Yeah, it's just he's been inconsistent. He's kind of the same way in Dallas too, except he just had a good guard to complement him in the backcourt in Luka Doncic. Now it's kind of tough to kind of gauge where he is. It's kind of the same scenario when Evan Fournier was in Boston last year, where that backup wing spot is kind of not that valuable since Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been chucking most of the shots. And on top of that, Dennis Schroeder has low-key just been the third option for them. So I don't know what to make of Josh Richardson. I don't think he's worth streaming at any point now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. That's one of the names that you and I kicked around before we jumped on air. I'll kind of steal the ball from here a little bit. Lance Stevenson for me is a guy that's really inconsistent. I know the last couple games have been have been well for him. He scored 14 against Boston. He scored 16 against Utah, and then he went off against the Nets. He scored 30. That was his best game of the season by far. He had a field goal percentage of 63%. But you look, even at the double-digit games he had against Utah and Boston, respectively, his field goal percentage started to go down. But here's the big reason why I'm down on Stevenson as an inconsistent streamer. If you put up his good games and his bad games, he's only averaging 7.5 points. Three assists per game, shooting roughly about 49% from the field. So he's a good role player for Indiana, but that's exactly where he's going to be now because Malcolm Brogdon is back. Since the Achilles injury, as Brogdon starts to get back into the swing of things, gets his legs underneath him, as my dog is licking his bowl underneath behind me in the kitchen, that's going to be less opportunities for Stevenson to come in and make an impact as a fantasy player. So Lance Stevenson is somebody that I'm not going to like going forward. I don't know if he's outright droppable quite yet. He is the number one droppable candidate in Yahoo leagues that I've been looking at, with over 4,600 people, teams dropping him. Brogdon's still going to take a while for him to get really back to full speed, so I wouldn't drop him quite yet unless you're in dire strengths. Or rather, if you're in dire need for some strength players that can come in and just be healthy and give you some stats over the next 2 weeks. But he's not someone that I'm going to bank on for a reliable game in and game out.
Now, Carlos, real quick, very, very important question. What's the name of your dog and what breed is it?
His name is Petey, and I wish I could tell you with full confidence what he is. But he's a rescue dog. I have no fun.
He's a dog.
I have no effing idea what his what he is. He's a pit bull mixed with something, but he's the sweetest little puppy in the world. I love my little doggy.
Oh,
so his breed is a good boy. We love that.
Yeah, he is. His breed is dog. That's his breed.
Lovely.
He is a mutt.
Okay.
Right,
we can't all be pure from Wales.
Yeah, true. I'm a purebred. I'm going to go with my guy, and this is actually a shout out to one of my friends because we talk about this guy every single year, and he's hilarious. He's Jay Crowder. So
Oh my
Jay
God!
Crowder
Don't get me started on Jay Crowder.
I know, but the thing is, though, people are like, well, why would you own Jay Crowder? You beat every single season we played fantasy. I played fantasy basketball for probably about 5 years now. Every single season, there's at least 3 teams that own Jay Crowder. Because what happens is, which is exactly what's happening right now, Jay Crowder, if you play, we didn't make this distinguishment from the beginning. We probably should. I'm in a categories league with Gil, but me and Nick tend to play more points leagues. That's what I kind of prefer as a thing. But anyway, in points league, he scored 22 points and then 34 points the last 2 games. So after his 34-point performance, people are, oh yeah, let me go run to the waiver wire to get him. That's when he's going to go and score you 3 fantasy points the next game, and then people like rage drop him. That's what I hate about some of these streamers is that you got to like Cameron Johnson is the small forward, power forward in Phoenix, and he's playing really well at the moment. Jay Crowder is not going to consistently put up big points, and he's not going to give you a great output, and his shooting stats aren't good anyway. He's just not someone I would like to. I've even streamed him before, and you just have this horrible feeling. You look at your roster and you're like, Jay Crowder, man. Like Jay Crowder is about to.
You had that walk of shame moment just grabbing Jamison Crowder. You're like, yep, I'm the one. Yep. Wearing my heels on my.
Yeah, it's me. You kind of hold your hand up and you walk. You know.
I need someone to cut.
Feel for these kind of players is energy players aren't fantasy sports players. So, like, when they come off the bench, they're meant to help their team win. They're not meant to help your fantasy team win. They're meant to help their actual team win.
Yep.
I'm going to be a bad teammate right here, guys. I'm going to need someone to cut that Nick drop because he definitely said Jamison Crowder. We're transitioning over to basketball. I'm a bad guy. I just wanted to point that out.
Hey, I got football on the mind still. What can I say?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But a guy that I'm really looking at, I'm even looking at a guy that I just want to drop in general. I don't know about you guys, but this is just me. Jordan Poole on Golden State.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm with you on that too.
You know what? Recently his game hasn't been as good, and now with Klay Thompson coming back, taking up more time, more minutes on the court from him, I just can't start him anymore. You know, he's scoring for me, and because me and Jack do scoring full on points head to head. It's 15 to 20 points in my leagues, and that's not going to cut it. I need at least 30 points from every guy that I start, just because we're in a 10-man league. And Jordan Poole isn't the guy to do it. So if you looking for a guy that we were talking about before to grab on a stream, pick him up and just drop Jordan Poole, because I don't think, unless someone else gets hurt again like Steph.
This is your opportunity to pick up Cam Reddish. So
this is your opportunity. Honestly, I have already dropped Jordan Poole, and I actually grabbed Malik Monk. So I think...
You're a man of your word.
I think Poole is the guy to get rid of and just find someone else to grab. Even for honorable mention, I didn't say it before. Omer Yurt7, is that how you say his name?
No, it's Omer Yurt6. No, I'm playing. You got it right.
Okay. All right, cool. As long as
you can retire happy now, Nick. I think you got it right. We're gonna cut to break.
You might have to bleep that out a little bit real quick there too. Just so you know.
We're going to cut the break right now. We'll kind of come back with a fun little game to close out the show. Stay tuned. But that was just our opinions on some basketball streamers. We'll be back in a second. Stay tuned, and we'll be back. Welcome back to the 4 Horsemen of Fantasy. What was that?
Did you get stabbed or something?
What was that?
I'm just excited for the game. The game's my favorite, guys. I'm just so excited.
You're lying. Something happened, and our listeners deserve to know.
Did anyone just hear him just straight up scream?
Oh, Nicholas.
Oh, my God. What the heck was that?
Open up your ears. Let's get up and let's do it. Give me the game. I want to know it, Gil. I want to know it. Let's do it.
Okay. So, see. I can't even get it. Seeing that it's our first fantasy basketball podcast, I would see that it's fitting that we talk about how players are ranked prior to the season and how they are right now. So what I did was I looked at players on the rankings at Fantasy Pros website, Jack's favorite website, and I will give them players and their pre-draft rankings, and they will discuss if it's either their current rest of season rankings are over or under. Over meaning higher, under meaning lower. Hence the term under versus over. I will warn them now, though, that this game might have a player or two that is the same exact ranking from when they started in the season. So, let's get started. I will give them an easy one. I'm going to give them the I'm going to give them the two-time MVP and reigning Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who started the season at rank number 7. Is he currently, for the rest of the season, according to Fantasy Pros, ranked over or under 7?
When you say under, you mean like between 1 and 7? Right?
No, under meaning beyond 7.
Like he's no longer the 7th best player in the league right now. He could be like, watch him be like 8th. I'm gonna go under because I have a feeling that he's been playing well, but watch it be some dumb thing like that. I'm gonna say he was like the 8th best player. He went under.
I think he's like arguably like top 3 now. So are we doing categories here, Gil?
Yes, this is categories.
Okay, this is categories. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. He is. Wait, what is that then? If I think he's in the top 3, he's over 7.
Yeah, he's over.
No, that doesn't make sense. Over 7 is like 8, 9, 10.
I see what you're saying. I didn't think of it like that. I just kind of thought over meaning over being higher ranked. If you get the idea.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
I will say over 7 then, but like
I'm saying over
between
7.
1 and 7.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna.
He's rejected number 4. That's my guess.
All right. Nick got it on the dot. Are you kidding?
Oh, nice. I said 3. I said
his
top
rest
3.
of season ranking, according to Fantasy Pros, is number 4. He is ranked only behind Jokic, Steph Curry, and Karl Anthony Towns.
That's a weird one.
I'm on fire.
I know, right?
Boys. I'm on fire.
That's weird, yeah.
That is kind of strange, right? Yeah.
Oh, shut up, Nick, man. God almighty.
Oh, come on, Jack. I'm taking away your number roll over here, Jack. What's going on?
God.
Anyways, I'm gonna stick to forwards. This is a player I actually had last year, and he did great. I couldn't get him this year. Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. His pre-draft rankings is number 40. Is he higher than 40, meaning over? Or is he under?
No. He's got to be under now.
I agree. I feel like nobody for Houston did anything.
But the Rockets have underperformed.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, if I was to draft again today and it was a 12-team league, I think I would still draft him around the 4th round, which is around where 40 is. So I'm. You know what?
40 overall,
Gil did tell
or
us
you
before.
saying 40 for centers, like by position?
No, this is just overall players.
Overall players.
Gil,
okay.
you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say he is 40.
Okay.
I'm going to say he's 41 just because I want to stick with that one-off theme, and I'm mad that I didn't go higher on Antetokounmpo. So he's at 41.
Okay.
Nah, he's at 39, guys. He's at 39.
Is that your guess, Nick?
All gone different.
Yeah, he's at 39.
Okay. Well, his pre-draft ranking was 40, right? His rest of season ranking, 52.
Oh,
nice.
my
Carlos
God.
got it.
Carlos evens it up because
I should have gone with my gut, man.
Jack
That's what I started
Nick
saying
fumbled
after-
the bag.
I started saying like, no, he's not being as good, and then I was like, I talked myself into it.
Yep. Anyway,
We knew the Rockets were going to be a mess going into the season.
yeah, they've won some pretty convincing games, like by the weirdest of fashions, but like he's probably one of the few bright spots of that Rockets squad, regardless. On to that, I'm gonna go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the
I
Oklahoma
love
City.
Shai.
Yeah.
I do love me some Shai. I think he's a fantastic.
I don't care where he was ranked before. I'm going over. He's better.
His pre-draft ranking was 27.
Oh my God.
Where do you have him now?
I got him at 20.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think over as well. I think over as well. I think he's better than a top.
You know what?
He's like, you take him into the second.
I got him at 27.
So we're all going over. We're all going over.
No, Nick has him on the same, and then Jack and Carlos have him over. I actually, funny that you believe it, he's currently ranked 33 on the rest of season ranking.
Wow.
Get out of here.
You know who's ranked 20 in the rest of season? It's DeMar DeRozan, surprisingly.
Ooh, get out of here.
DeMar's balling out though.
This is where it's tough for me, because it's like with categories I find it difficult because it is different. Like it's
the downfall for DeRozan, Carlos, is his lack of made threes.
Yeah.
Because he's getting the majority of his points from between the mid range into the paint and the free throw line. That's where DeRozan kind of falls off. Moving on, so that means we're all tied at 1. Everyone got that wrong. Julius Randle of the Knicks. Prior to the season, ranked 37.
Randle has been a letdown this year.
Yeah, I want to say under 2.
Top 37. You know.
I want to say that he's under because the Knicks as a whole have been underperforming, but Randle specifically is I think is the number one reason to why. Because he was playing at an all-star level. He was playing at, deserving of the contract that he would get. In fact, it looked like it would even be a bit of a discount for the Knicks, giving him the money early because of the way that he was playing. Now it just feels like he fleeced the Knicks. I'm gonna go under. I don't think he's near. I don't think he's near at his pre-season ranking.
Okay,
I'm going with Carlos. Yeah.
You've been playing with my mind with the fact that they could be tied at the same. And
I know. I keep thinking that as well.
But for you to say that, and because you're a homer and you're talking about the Knicks, I think the only reason why you remembered that is because Julius Randle is at 37 the rest of the way. So I'm saying, give me in the middle, Julius Randle at 37.
God damn it! One of you get this right? He finished. He's currently ranked 26th.
Oh my god!
How is that possible?
Oh my god!
Can some of y'all get this right?
I thought I had it there. I really.
And I'll be honest. I was shocked too. It's honestly a little befuddling how crazy he's ranked higher than he was prior to the season. I didn't believe it. I think he's been playing very mediocre basketball.
I question these rankings, man. I need to find out the source.
You gotta talk to Fantasy Pros on that one, my brother.
I think they're wrong and we're right.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think Randall should be at the ranking he currently is. I really believe he should be definitely lower than 37. That said, we're still at 1 apiece. Now, I'm going to go to Terry Rozier. Scary Terry, the better Scary Terry of fantasy sports.
Right.
Not Terry McLaurin, Terry Rozier.
What was he pre-draft?
Ranked 68.
I think it has to be an over, no? Like he's got to be playing better than that. I don't know.
So I feel like whatever I think, I just go the opposite here.
Right?
Hey, listen, this isn't the subjective. This isn't for once. It's not my subjective opinion, Jack.
Yeah,
this is the fact.
I'm just getting these wrong. Okay, I'll take the over. I think he's better than 68.
I agree. I think he's got to be it's got to be in the 40s, 50s at this point.
I swear,
yeah.
When I say it's not the middle, it's going to be the middle. But you know what? I'm going to go with the over on this as well.
Son of a bitch, he was the same.
Get out of here. See, this is all crap. This is all crap.
68th. He's still 68th.
Oh, that was so specific. I should have known that. Damn it.
No, the rankings are obviously wrong. Let's just throw it all out.
Terribly wrong. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I literally said middle twice and I got it wrong. And now I'm like, you know what? I keep on saying it.
All right, this one should be for all the marbles.
You would think.
There's no way you get this one wrong. Marcus Smart of the Celtics. He's ranked 66th pre-draft.
Oh, got to be under. Like, he is not in the top 66.
Yeah, no, he's awful.
No way. No, that's a layup.
Yeah, I think that's a slam dunk. Watch it be the same. Watch it because it's so obvious that he's playing worse than that ranking. Watch him be the same.
I think Gil's trying to throw a little screw in the mix here. I'm going middle. Give it to me, Gil.
God damn it, Nick! Stop it! No, it's the under.
Thank you.
Yeah. Finally, we're able to get something.
It's so. Oh my God! All right, that he's currently ranked 80th in leagues.
God.
That'll do it.
No. Give me one more. Give me one more.
Fine.
No, you lost. That's it. You lost. Cutting the music off. You lost.
Back. This is for 2 points. This is for 2 points.
All right, I'll give you a tricky one and see if this maybe lands. All right.
All right. Let's hear it.
Give me Trae Young. Prior to the season, it was ranked 17th.
Yep.
What did you say?
Oh, over. He's
over.
better than 17th. Like, wait,
Okay.
is that? Yeah, over.
Pre-draft 17. Nick?
I'm giving it to you right now. He's at number 9.
I was gonna say 15. I don't know if he's a top 10 guy, but I think he's better than what he was before.
I think he's 6.
Okay. Carlos, what do you think?
I still think it's over also. I just didn't go as high as these guys. I didn't know if he was playing top 10.
And
but
Nick said he was what, 9th?
Yes.
He's 8th.
Oh my God!
Cover Winkler indeed.
He's ranked the current 9th best player according to Fantasy Pros is Rudy Gobert. Trae Young is at 8th, and he's right behind Joel Embiid.
Hey, we all got it right.
Yeah.
Too bad Nick didn't get it in when the game counted, so Nick loses anyway.
Yeah, Nick, do better.
Yeah, Nick.
Maybe if I scream louder next time.
You got it. You got the Giannis one spot on, and then just kind of fell flat from there.
I drifted after that. That was it.
He stuck with the middle for 3 goes and then went off
And
the
then
middle.
the one time he didn't do it, it was the middle.
So wait, is Jack and I tied in this? Did we just have both first place?
Tied because none of y'all get it right. Oh, I'm disappointed. I wish one of y'all won. Oh, damn.
Next week. We'll figure it out.
It's okay.
You know, Ty goes to the fantasy champion. I won. Jack is now in second place.
Oh, I knew that was coming up. I knew that.
Hey, it's nothing about the fantasy playoffs. It's about the fantasy regular season. I was 12-2. Okay, you were 8-4, 8-6, Carlos. Okay.
What have you done for me lately? Dun, 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 dun,
You also
dun.
beat me. I had
Ooh,
Eckler, Cook, and Kelsey out. So.
God damn it. All right. Enough of that. We're on a new leaf. That'll do it for the first episode of the fantasy basketball portion of the 4 Horsemen of Fantasy. Please give us a follow on Instagram, the number 4 Horsemen of Fantasy. This was very fun. I'm excited to kind of get going with the rest of the season as it follows. Until then, stay warm out there. Throw them 4s up. And please, don't lose your fantasy leagues and pick up good streamers. Best of luck this week. Have a good weekend.
If you don't follow us, I'm coming to your house.
Yeah, Carlos is a dangerous man. Don't actually listen to him. All right.
Yeah,
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.